Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon. This back here, this guy, that's Bernard. He's my October co-host. He doesn't say much, but he's always on time. And this is, I think, his 7th year hanging out with me during October. He's missing a leg, but that's okay. That's fine. He's here. Anyway, today we have another book talk video to share with you guys. I think this is going to be a shorter one. I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. Anyway, today we are talking about Assistant to the Villain by Nicole Maehrer. Now, I picked this book up. I knew nothing about it. I'd never heard of it, but I thought it was really beautiful. I thought it had an eye-catching cover, and then, look, it has beautiful red sprayed edges. I wish all books did the sprayed edges. It's so nice. Anyway, after I picked up the book, I was on TikTok and I noticed people were talking about it, and people seem to be loving it. So you're gonna see now in a minute, I'm not one of those people, but I think it's a me problem. I think it's just not my kind of book, but it might be yours. So I'm gonna give you a bit of synopsis about it, and then tell you what I liked and didn't like about it, and then you can decide from there. You know, just because I don't like something, that's fine. Doesn't mean you won't. Now, this is a romance fantasy, a romantasy, if you will. Is that a thing? And I thought, based on the title, that it was going to be like kind of a villains to lovers sort of story. It's not quite that. But a bit, you know, it's a villain. It's kind of a grumpy sunshine sort of trope. And we have a girl named Evangeline, or Evangelina, and we call her Evie for short. And she has a dad, you know, as we all do, and a sister. Her dad's very ill, and Evie has kind of taken it upon herself to care for the family. And she's recently without a job, and she's like, I need a job. So she goes to a job fair. Now, first of all, let me just stop me right here. So this book is like medieval times, but there's a job fair. I thought that was a little strange. Plus, just a lot of the slang and the way they speak is very modern. So that's a little confusing. So anyway, she's at the job fair. She's about to get a job, and then she sees a lady behind her with like a bunch of kids in tow, and she's like, I can't take this job from that woman. So she gives it to her because she feels it's the right thing to do. Later that day, she's wandering through the forest and she ends up in a bit of a situation. There's a man, and he's being pursued by people who are presumably trying to kill him, and she ends up caught up with this man, and now he's like, you know, run, like we gotta move it. She gets hurt, which is a constant theme for Evie throughout this book, and eventually we find out that he's the villain. Not just of the book, but that's what they call him. The townspeople in the kingdom where she lives, they call him the villain, and no one's ever seen his face because that's just not how he operates. Like, he's not out with his face. The bad deeds he does are kind of behind closed doors, and whenever there's a wanted poster put up for him, he's depicted as like a very old, very sinister looking man, when in reality he's young and hot. I guess I should probably say at this point there's going to be spoilers. Well, what isn't a spoiler is he offers her a job as his assistant, as the title would lead you to believe was going to happen. So, okay, from now on, spoilers. I'm not going to really go point by point like I do for most of my book talks, just because I don't want to. But we're going to touch on some points, and so if you don't want spoilers, now's the time, I guess, to click away. Just know that for me, it was a bit repetitive, it was very slow, And I liked the villain. I liked that character. But there was something about Evie that just I found really off-putting. Like, I don't know. I think they're probably somewhere around the same age. But like, he seems like an adult and she seems like a 12-year-old. I just didn't really... There were just so many points where I was like, why is she doing that? Why is she saying that? And I think it's supposed to be like really precious and quirky, but to me it just didn't come off that way. And I feel bad because I did want to love it, but it seemed a little too silly. A little too silly for my tastes. And that's okay. Like I said, or I don't know if I said this, but let me tell you, I don't read a lot of fantasy. I don't read a lot of romance. Those aren't my general genres to read. I was seduced by these sprayed edges. And I didn't even read the back of the book. So, but yeah, I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but the like maturity levels between the two of them is a little off-putting, I guess is the best way to put it. And like, I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, here's one example. They're at this, he takes her on a thing he has to do. So he's like, come with me. We're going to go to a pub this one night. And I'm going to need you to kind of help me figure out what's going on, because there had been a bomb placed in the Massacre Manor, as his home is called. And Evie got hurt because she always gets hurt. And, you know, it could have been much worse, but she managed to get it out of the castle, and he swoops in and saves her. And so anyway, now he wants to know, like, who's responsible for this, and he's not going to stop until he finds out. So they go to this pub, or tavern, I guess, back in medieval times. And he's like, listen, I need you to call out to that man. His name's Malcolm. Call out to him, and the villain's mid-sentence when all of a sudden Evie's on her feet screaming out to Malcolm. Like, girl, he didn't even finish telling you what he needs you to do. And it's just like, to me, she just read like a teenager. But I know she's not a teenager, because he's clearly a grown man. This book's not going to be about a teenager and a grown man. So, I don't know. I didn't like her. But I liked him. I liked a lot of the other characters, actually. Because, of course, the castle is filled with a bunch of people in his employ. And what I found really funny is, so it's like medieval times. He's a villain, but he's got this, like, roster of employees that are, like, keeping everything moving smoothly as though it's like a business. Like, the books are being done. The ledgers are being tallied. Like, I found that funny. And I will tell you, there were parts where I did chuckle. I did. I read so many parts that I was like, oh, that's supposed to be funny, but it just wasn't to me. And, yeah, it just fell flat for me. And that's okay. Like I said, I don't really read romance and fantasy, so I shouldn't be shocked that I didn't love it. And yeah, like I said earlier too, I found it really off-putting the way it's like medieval times, but there's a lot of things happening and people saying things that would not have been said during those times. But yeah, I liked a lot of the sort of background characters, a lot of the employees that worked for him. There was a dragon. Oh my god, and there's a frog. There's a frog with the mirror. I don't know if you can see that. So this is a prisoner that the villain took at one point, and he turned him into a frog with magic, because there's a magic system in this world. And this frog, he's got a little crown, and he can, I guess, write words on paper, and he holds up signs when he wants to communicate. Like, there's this one time where they're out in public, it's the villain and Evie. He's bringing her home because guess what happened? She got hurt. So he's bringing her home to her family. And at first she was like, oh my goodness, like, because of course she didn't tell her dad and her sister, like, I'm off to work for the villain. Obviously her dad would have been like, no, you're not. So he's bringing her home, and she's a little concerned about that at first, but then he's like, you don't have to worry about it. Nobody knows what I look like. So she's like, okay, because all they know is that she works for a fancy man in a big house. Anyway, so he takes her home. Her sister's outside. Her sister, who's like 10 years old. So see, if her sister's 10 years old, how old is she? I'm sure it was said at some point, but I don't remember. Anyway, so her 10-year-old sister's there, and the little frog holds up a sign that reads help, but it's spelled H-A-L-P. And it doesn't sound very funny when I'm telling you now, but I did get a little chuckle out of that. So yeah, overall, I don't know what I'm going to rate it. Probably a 2, maybe a 3, but probably a 2. Just cause, I don't know, it read a bit like a YA maybe, you know? Like, it's marketed as an adult fantasy novel, but, and I'm not even, I don't even have a problem with silly books. Like, I enjoy a good silly book. This one just didn't work for me. But it might work for you, so don't let my not liking it discourage you from reading it if it sounds like something you might like. Again, very beautiful. Those edges though. So yeah, if it sounds like something that you might like, definitely check it out. And let me know what you thought. If you've read it already, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it. And if you do read it, come back and tell me what you thought of it. It's got high ratings on Goodreads. Currently, I think the last time I looked, it had over 4 stars. Like overall. That's a really good rating. So obviously people are loving it. So maybe it'll be you. Maybe you're next. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for me for today. This is shorter than my normal book talk videos, I know, but like I said, I wasn't going to go point by point because I don't want to talk about it. But I still wanted to share some thoughts with you. And yeah, so I'm still searching. I'm still out here in the trenches looking for some really good villains to lovers stories. I've read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I liked that. I liked it. I liked it a lot, in fact. So if you have any more villains to lovers recommendations, please, please let me know in the comments down below. Because I really want to read more of them. That's my favorite trope. That's my favorite. I like villain gets the girl. I don't want him to go good. I want her to go bad. You know, the whole bit. So let me know. Is Shadow and Bone that? I haven't read that, but I saw the series on Netflix, and we watched the first episode, and then we kind of got distracted with other things. Ben Barnes is in that as the villain, and I love him so much. So let me know if the books are good, and if you think it is what I am looking for. And yeah, let me know of other things you think I might like. And yeah, that's going to do it for me for today. I'm going to go now. Next up, we're going to have a spoiler-free book review of a anthology of Christmas horror. That sounds so fun. And it's got a lot of heavy hitters in there, like Stephen Graham Jones, Josh Mallerman, Tananarive Due, Almakatsu. Just so many. I'm so excited to read it. And then after that, it'll be another book talk of A Certain Hunger. So can't wait to share all that with you guys. Anyway, yeah, again, let me know. Just let me know. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye.